What? What the heck is happening? Chat. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Almathea. Good morning, Nicholas. Oh boy. All right, I want to work on this. I want to work on this fish shoulder pad. Gotta love that Ocarina of Time. There's something very specific I'd like to find if I can for this. This is close. I actually found that pretty quick. That's actually shocking. This is pretty close. There's a way that Baroque sculptures depicted fish that I kind of love. These are pretty good, actually. If you type Baroque fish fountain, you'll see what I'm looking at. It's kind of what I always thought these were supposed to be. That's good. Let's see. The Fountain of the Triton in Rome. Okay, let's look that up. The Fountain of the Triton. My God. Cool. All right. Well, this Fountain of the Triton is actually very close to what I need. Excellent. All right. Let me zoom on in here. Cool. Thank you, Almathea. So I'll throw this in real quick just to show you guys. I always thought that these little statues, the little blue pixels here, I always thought they kind of looked like these Baroque fishes. So I'm gonna kind of model the stonework after this. I'll change it a little bit to be more accurate to the sprite, but I always thought that this was kind of the vibe. Yeah, I always thought they kind of looked like that. Book music, we should start making plans for our trip to New York. We should start figuring out what we want to do. If there's any other spots you'd like to hit while we're there, any other antique type things you'd like to do while we're there, or if you just want to get in and get out. For those of you who don't know, Book Music has a lovely antiques podcast called Antique Freaks. Or Antiques Freaks. I can never remember if it's plural. I think it's plural. I think it's Antiques Freaks. But yeah, we're gonna go down to the Antiquarian Book Festival in New York City in a couple weeks, and I'm gonna collect some more antique books. We're gonna look around. Maybe we'll even find some cool people that Book Music can interview for the podcast. Antiques Freaks are cool. I thought it was plural. I can never get it right. I think I did get it right though, so I'll give myself a small pat on the back. The tiniest of pats. Yeah. Also, if you'd rather not drive down in my car, if you'd rather take the train or the bus, I can just meet you there. But I'm more than willing to drive. I'm definitely going to drive because I have a weird thing. I can't. Ever since the last time I took the bus, ever since the last time I took the train to New York, and it broke down under Penn Station, and I was just trapped in a tunnel for 6 hours while they repaired it in the dark, watching the rats scurry around. I was like, I'm just driving from now on. This will never happen to me again. I just can't. But either way, we'll meet up. Happy to carpool though. Hell yeah. The cool thing is they have way more than just books. One of the coolest things I saw at the antiquarian book thing, someone had ancient Chinese medical charts, and they were like 7 feet tall, like 400 or 500-year-old like drawings of the body with all the organs and like all these like notes and like so many cool random things. Someone had giant like 20-foot census maps of like Edo, Japan. Just random stuff. Like it's almost like anything on paper. It's not just books. They had a lot of the original Arthur Rackham watercolors too, which was crazy. They had a bunch from the Inglesby Legends. Yeah, big maps are dope. I kind of weirdly, I don't know. You've been to my house, Book Music. I kind of weirdly want to get a big map from like Edo, Japan or something and hang it up somewhere. I feel like that would be a cool like wallpaper type thing. Like instead of a tapestry, just having like a random map. I don't know. I don't know where I would put it, but it's something I've like never seen in like a home decor thing. It's just such a random, awesome thing. I don't know where. I mean, I'd want to protect it. I don't even know if you could get a frame for something that big. It'd have to be like plexiglass. I don't know what you'd do to protect something that size. Yeah, ephemera. That's the one. That's the one. Yes. It's the grown-up anime wall scroll. Actually, you just reminded me when you said anime wall scroll. I'm going to reach out to our good friend Sean Donnan, who I believe is in Virginia, which is about an equal drive from the opposite direction, and I will let him know that we will be there. Maybe he would like to join. It's a stretch, but I'll try. Yes. Gotta love a good fat dolphin lip. That's what I've always said. I've always said that. I've never not said that. Well, this is appropriate. We're painting a NES Zora. Oh my god, is it time for meep, 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 meep? Nope. I appreciate that I put a dragon on this, but I don't think it's gonna stay. Are any books I'm hoping to find? I mean, there's always books I'm hoping to find. I'm really into the Will Pogany stuff. I'd like to find Parsifal. If I can find Parsifal, that would be cool. Anything by Pogany, I think, would be great. Obviously, if I see any good Condition Oz books, I'll get them. I have most of them, but if I see any good condition ones, I always get them because they're good to have backups of. But yeah, the Will Pogany books. I'm thinking about collecting the color books too. The blue fairy book, the green fairy book, the red fairy book. I can't remember the name of the author right now. Drawing a blank, but those are also really stunning collector's items. Finding a full set of those is pretty tough. But yeah. I'm generally only interested in illustrated children's books from a certain era. Yes, the Andrew Lang books. Yes. Is D-Ray obsessed? I'm surprised that didn't come up on our podcast episode. Yeah, I love them. They're incredible. They're an incredible work of art, and they're just an incredible set. It's really rare. It's really rare with books to find something that is like from the beginning. Like a lot of people retroactively make things look like a set. Like the Oz books are a good example. Like the first book doesn't look anything like the last book, and when they did like the second editions and third editions, they would, you know, kind of correct them so the format all kind of matched and they looked like a nice set. But the fairy books are like just from the get-go, they're just these stunning, just a stunning collection. The format matches on all of them. The art style is fairly uniform. They always have these beautiful cloth covers with this lovely gold scroll work of the pen and ink illustrations sewn into them. I don't know if they're sewn in or pressed actually for how old those books are. But yeah, those fairy books are lovely. You can Google Lang fairy books and see what I'm talking about. There's just some amazing artwork in those books. Dude, these goth Dami Mommy fucking N64 fairies, or what was Nintendo thinking? What was Miyamoto's intent? Yeah, no problem. The Pogany books are fucking great. I think those are technically Golden Age. I'm not quite sure what you'd call that era of book publishing. I think it's slightly before, like you got the Howard Pyles and the N.C. Wyeths, but I don't know. I could be wrong on that. I don't have that totally memorized. It's weird because there's like the Gilded Age, which is just a general thing, and then there's the Golden Age of American illustration, which is a different thing. me try something. Hmm. I'm gonna be live until about. I'll be live for like another 2 hours, maybe 3 hours. We'll see. Nope. What a great sound effect. What an awesome sound effect. my god. It's Baronade. Why do I remember the name? This is starting to look the way I'd like it to, slowly. Please hold. I don't know if I like that. I'm gonna put it on a layer and try it. Oh my god, it's the Ocarina of Time. It's the name of the game. Guys, it's the name of the game. Everyone's just casually chilling. Princess just got stolen away for safety. Everyone's just dancing, having a good time. Hmm. No. Struggling with the shape of this thing. That's not right. What's up, Sharky? Good to see you, buddy. Oh my god, Ganon. How could we be so foolish, chat? You know what? I think I'm overcomplicating this. I think it was fine the way it was. Either the way it was or with this one. I'm not quite sure. Probably this one. Yeah, probably that. The neighbor dogs do not like the trash people, if you can't tell. Yeah, I think I like that swoop. Yeah, I do. Okay. my god, it's Sheik. Oh my god. Coolest character in the game. No, Sharky, I'm not. I'm not a cool guy with a harp who's a ninja, who's also secretly a princess. That's not me. It's not me. I wish it was me, don't get me wrong. I wish I could secretly pull this beard off and be a beautiful princess. But, listen. Some things aren't in the cards, man. We don't always get what we want, alright? I've made my peace with it. Also, I should mention, give me one moment here. I gotta take my headphones off, maybe. Let me see. Do I have to take my headphones? I think I do. Hold on. How sick is this? I've got my custom Black Marrow with the Steve Lichman, Steve Coachman. Love you, Ryan. Oh, I gotta take a quick break. Very quick break. I just gotta get up for a second because my leg is falling asleep and it's starting to feel like it's got a bolt of electricity coursing through it, which probably means it's time to get some circulation in there. Alright, quick break. We're doing good though. Wow. Alright, doing good. Be right back. Boo, 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 boo. Do, boo, 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 boo. Oh boy. I'm fucking dying. You guys want to hear a funny joke? So like 9 months ago, I went and I got my body looked at by a doctor because I was having some issues. And they said, "Hey, we think your prostate's massive. You might have cancer." And I said, "Okay." And then they looked at it and they said, "Well, it's not cancerous, but it's big. So we think we want to embolize. You want to give you an embolization to shrink it. We want to do a surgery and basically burn off the nerves that go to it to force it to die and shrink." And I said, "Geez, that's pretty serious." And they said, "Yeah, got to do it." And I said, "Okay." Scheduled the surgery. Then I called Kim and she was like, "You're kind of young for prostate issues. And also, did they like do certain tests?" And I was like, "No, they didn't do those tests." And she was like, "Well, that doesn't make any sense." So then I got a call back from the doctor's office and they were like, "Hey, we can't tell you what happened." This was about 5 months ago. They said, "Hey, can't tell you what happened, but the doctor that you saw, we had to let him go. There were some complaints. he had to be fired, and now legally we have to let you know that he was let go. We can't tell you why. We just have to let you know that he was let go. And I was like, okay. So I'm going to get a second opinion, obviously, because that's shady as fuck. So then I joined a wait list to get a second opinion. It took 5 months. This whole time I'm having issues. I'll just put it that way. And I got my second opinion yesterday. And they were like, bro, you just have a chronic infection. Take these antibiotics. You don't need a surgery. You don't need an embolization. There's nothing wrong. So I almost got a completely unnecessary invasive surgery, which is kind of spooky. Kind of spooky. Also, here's the funniest part of it. The doctor who I saw initially, who gave me the wrong diagnosis, said that his name was, the doctor I was seeing. They were like, hi, I'm doctor. I'm not going to say the name because I might be seeking legal recourse. I'm not sure. I don't want to say anything public, though, in case I do. It's like, hi, I'm this guy. Basically, hi, I'm Dr. Steven. That's not the name. So then when I was talking to the people after they let him go, I was like, well, I met Dr. Steven already. And they were like, well, actually you didn't. You met Dr. Daniels, another made-up name. But Dr. Daniels sometimes said he was Dr. Steven when we had too many patients and he took appointments for him. And I was like, he literally said his name was Dr. Steven. And they're like, yeah, that was the thing they did. You met Dr. Daniels. He might have introduced himself as a different doctor. And I was like, what kind of show are we running here, guys? Like, well, huh? So now I'm like, was he even a doctor? Like, I've got a million questions now. Is it just somebody who was like freelancing? Like, anyway, so I don't know. If you're going to get an invasive surgery, guys, always get a second opinion, because holy shit. Spooky. Spooky times. Not good. Yeah, not great. Not good. Also, I've been in like mild to severe pain for like almost a year. So just the waiting itself was fucking annoying. But yeah, I don't know. Fun stuff. Very, very fun. So fucking fun. Oh. Oh. Dooba-dooba-dooba-doo. Sick. Sick. Looking at references. Gonna mute my mic for just a second. Apologies for muting my mic. There's a friend of mine runs a homemade pasta shop down in Rhode Island, and I saw that they were making a beautiful spinach rigolette today, and I wanted to get a pound of that because it looks fucking phenomenal. So I had to call them as soon as they opened and ask her to put some aside for me. Oh, Jesus, Miguel, that's fucking brutal. I'm sorry, buddy. True. Is it free for you in the UK as a US citizen? I think it is, right? I think it is. I wonder. Oh my god, it's Saria, chat. might be talking with Ryan in like an hour. I'm not sure. I'll let you all know. I will let you all know. Oh my god, skeletons. Stalfoses. Joseph Parker, love you. Good to see you. I would love to see this 3D printed. I'd be so happy. This is coming along exactly how I wanted it to. Thank goodness. Listen. We'll see, Sharky. We will see. I'll call it my high rule. My rule. Well, dang, if you already sold pre-orders, I mean, what am I gonna do? Alright, let's figure out this connection. I should just make it a game manual. I actually don't think I like that. I think it's gonna have to be... I think it's gonna have to come down and connect into here. I don't know though if it's gonna have to be that or spirals. It might have to be a spiral. Let me take a look. Mystic the Together cards, true. Those were so funny. I don't know if I like it. I think maybe I don't. I think I might do this instead. Yeah, I think I'm gonna do that instead. Alright, so I'll just have the chasing rundown parallel. I can kind of picture this. So overhead, the two halves of it would kind of come in like this. And then the mohawk thing would be like that. Yeah, that works. Okay. Which makes sense, because that's how a fish's head is shaped. So, okay, that works. Yeah. Yeah, okay. Good. We got there. We got there in the end. Oh my god, it's Phantom Ganon. He's gonna rip his face off. He's gonna be a Goost. Oh my god. I had trouble with this temple too. It's weird the jump in like dungeon difficulty or quality or whatever from like the childhood Link stuff to the adult Link stuff. It's crazy how much more complicated they get and how big they got. Like the size of like the fire temple compared to like Dodongo's cave felt like massive. Sometimes it would take me like a couple days to figure one out, which is crazy. I didn't have any guides. Dooba-dooba-dooba-dooba-dooba-doo. Yeah. I do want to do a full playthrough at some point. I just don't have time. I want to do a full playthrough of the original Final Fantasy on here, just to show what my entire childhood was. Because that game, I like lived in that game. Like, I would spend hours just exploring and re-diving dungeons, and just, that game felt like the biggest thing ever. And it was so difficult, and you could wipe so easily. That game is like brutal, even as an adult. It's like first edition D&D brutal. You actually can't do Final Fantasy 1 in one sitting. It's so, I mean, unless you're incredibly lucky or you like save scum the hell out of it. There are parts in that game where like you're gonna wipe. Like it's so difficult. Unless you play the pixel remasters where they made the game really easy. Those games you could probably do in one sitting, but the original NES version of it is like, you'll go into a dungeon like the Ice Cave, and if you get the wrong random encounter with like a group of wizards, you'll just die because they'll just use the spell that instantly kills you. They have death touch. Like some enemies have like effects on contact. So like if they just attack you, you'll just die. You're just gone. And like there's no Phoenix Downs or anything in that game. There's no way to bring your characters back. There's only one life spell, and only one class can cast it, and it's the weakest class, so if that dies, you have no revival. So it's like, the game is very difficult. To the point of like, borderline, I think most people would not enjoy playing it. It's very like old school D&D. Like, I know that game by heart. I could do it without a guide and know where everything is and where to go. And like I lived in that game as a kid. I know all of it, but it's very difficult. No, the GBA version was not the same. The GBA was the re-released version where like it had magic points, like all the other Final Fantasy games, where you can go up to like 999. The original Final Fantasy had charges, like D&D, where like you can cast this spell 4 times before you rest, and you could get a max of 8. But you didn't usually get to your max. Like some spells you could only cast once per rest. Like your good spells, you usually only got like 1, 2, or 3 of those per rest. So like if you're going through a whole dungeon and you can only revive somebody 3 times, like it's pretty crazy like spell economy. But yeah, the GBA version was the remake they did when they started re-releasing all the older games, and they made it much easier. Much easier. They added stuff like items that can, you know, revive your party members and heal you and stuff. Things that can restore your magic points. They added a bunch of like ease of use things. The original game had nothing like that. If you ran out of spell charges, you were out of spell charges. You had to leave the dungeon, sleep, come back. There's no way to get them back. So it was pretty. They got rid of all the really insane stuff too, like enemies that can instantly kill you. Yeah, the GBA version's great. It's fun. It's a beautiful game. All the content's there, but the difficulty is not there. They nerfed that to a very high degree. Some people prefer that, but I like the original. I like the difficulty. I like the pain. I like walking into a group of zombies and having them stun lock you with paralyzed touch, and your entire party being frozen in place while they slowly chip away your health in a 20-minute battle that makes you wipe, so you have to restart the dungeon. Ooh, I love it. I love it. You know, it's funny you say that, Sharky. Remember when I told you that this was a test version for a series of 5 prints I wanted to do? Remember that? Remember when I said this was a test? Well, what do you know? What do you know? I wonder what that could be. I wonder what it could be. Anyway. We'll get to Final Fantasy. Don't even worry about that. It's true. I'm the Edgelord. It's true. I'm Gunendorf. actually pretty happy with this pauldron. I wanted it to be less goofy. I didn't want it to look like the pixel art. I think this looks pretty close to the pixel art. I made this ear thing like a wing, but other than that, I mean, I can get away with it if I put like a drop shadow in it. Like if I do this, it'll read as that thing in the pixel art. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Hmm. Oh my god, it's chic. Bring, 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 bring. Actually curious if I can make this bigger. I think I can. We'll see. Yeah, I think I can. Doo-doo-doo. I'm hyper caffeinated. The fasting with the caffeine is just yikes. Hi, pup. Shit might get weird in the coming weeks, chat. I lost a bunch of weight, as you know, and then I stopped losing weight. So I got a full panel of tests done to figure out if something was wrong. And it turns out something is wrong. And my hormones are all fucked and out of balance. So I'm gonna do some hormone therapy stuff with my primary care doctor and try to get those reset. I don't know what kind of side effects that's going to have on my mood, on my productivity. I have no clue. I have never done anything with hormone injections before. So we're going to see, but things are not looking good. So we're going to try and fix those. So if I'm acting different, or if my energy or vibe seems weird coming up, it might be that. I don't know what caused it. I don't know how long it's been going on. But I'm excited to fix it. Appreciate it, buddy. Alright, let's see where we're at with this. I think I like the bigger belly on the bigger mouth on the belly. Yeah, I think I do. Yeah. So this one felt too short. So I raised it up. I don't think that makes it feel too short by enlarging it again, does it? No, I don't think so. It feels better. Yeah, it feels better. Okay. never considered doing this, but let me see if I like it. I don't know, actually. Oh, hey, it's Ryan. He's here. I will hop on in just a second, buddy. Do 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 do. Hello.
Hello, how are you, man?
What's going on, buddy?
Good. I'm just setting up this stream real quick. How you doing,
Nice.
man? How's I mean, I know that you were in and out of the hospital to see your mom. I hope that's getting better.
Yeah, hold on. Keep talking. Let me see if I got your volume here.
Now is the winter of our discontent.
That's pretty good. Chat, let me know if that needs to be louder or quieter, but yeah, we can start with this.
Does it need to be French? Does it need to be more demure?
I'm always down for French. I mean, I like French, but no, yeah, things are going okay. My mom's vision is it's deteriorating, but it's slower. We're trying to make sure she doesn't go blind, and then also there's a chance the cancer might be back, but we don't know.
Oh,
yet.
Jesus, dude.
We don't know for sure, so we got to do some tests, but it might have metastasized elsewhere. So we're just keeping an eye on things. So it's been a lot, but yeah, how are you doing?
I'm so sorry, man. I mean, there's nothing that serious happening over here. So
Well, I'm glad. That's good news. I'm glad nothing like that's happening with you. That's very good
I
news.
know. But I do have that normal human reaction of like, well, it's like,
Yeah.
it puts things in perspective. Like anything that was, and even my slightest like annoying complaints as a human being, just it's like
Yeah.
But
No, I
God,
got you.
I really hope that it's not back. I really hope she doesn't,
Yeah.
because
It would be nice if it was not, but we will see what happens.
yeah,
I'm glad things are going good though, and also I love small complaints, so don't feel bad about sharing those because those are the fun ones. Those are like they made how many seasons of Seinfeld off of small complaints?
that's true.
Those are the most entertaining.
Yeah, and it allowed people to distract themselves from their big complaints.
Yes, those are the most relatable of complaints are the small ones.
Well, it's funny you mentioned Seinfeld because so we just did. So remember how you had to talk me off a ledge because of because of the situation with the how we didn't have a gator anymore.
Mm-hmm.
We now have one, and it ended up being like it was the friend we had all along kind of thing.
Excellent.
There's a Latin fusion place that we often go to after I pick her up from work. And I was like, "Oh, we should just ask them because I like their food."
Oh yeah, good.
And they were great. They were like they did a whole tasting. So, can I hit you up with this wedding menu and see what you think?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
We're gonna do some seafood, some tilapia, salmon, served with some roasted vegetables, some rice and beans, some
Fantastic.
pupusas. Have you had
I've
pupusas?
had pupusas. Very good.
Yeah, so some pupusas, and then we're thinking tres leches cake. Uh,
Yes, great idea.
yeah, I mean, like Malka was even like, maybe we should just do like the wedding cake as tres leches. I was like, oh my god,
Pretty dang
that's like
good.
a
Good stuff.
yeah, like a yeah. So, and it was just funny when I initially called them because I was like, hoping that they were going to have availability, and they were so, it's just funny as a Latin man myself. There's something about Latinos in that situation where they're just like, not only were they not stressed about it, but like they couldn't seem to understand why I was so stressed. Like they were like, I was like, yeah, do you guys, would it be okay if could you be are you available on the 8th? And they were just like, yeah, like this is fine, like I almost expected him to be like, this is a restaurant, right? Like we have the food right here, it's not a big deal.
Hmm.
um so yeah, I think that's taken care of. We loved it. So we did a tasting yesterday. Oh, but what reminded me of Seinfeld was this is our second time doing a tasting, and I just started laughing because I was like, wow, we can just keep telling people that we're doing tastings for our weddings, and they'll just keep giving us huge amounts of free food.
Yes, they will.
And that just it made me think of like a George Costanza thing where you can
Hmm.
just go to different restaurants all over your like in the tri-state area and just pretend you're doing tastings for a wedding, and they'll just keep serving you these banquets.
It's a great. And then the girl that George is dating, walks into the restaurant when he's doing a tasting and thinks he's actually getting married, and he has to explain that he's just a cheap fuck, and either way he
Yeah,
loses her. Yeah, I can see it.
yeah,
I
yeah.
can see
Either
it
way, he
right
loses.
now.
Yeah, that's you should have been. You see, if you were born a decade earlier, you would have been a writer for
It's
Seinfeld.
so funny. That's actually a great episode they never made. That's a perfect George episode.
Have you ever heard of modern Seinfelding?
No, I have not.
Modern Seinfelding, it's an Instagram account, possibly also a Twitter account, that they do like if Seinfeld was still being made today, like what are the plots?
Hmm.
So each post is just a pitch for a different episode.
That's a good idea. Should
It's
submit it.
great. Yeah, it's hilarious because the guy who writes it, I'm assuming it's one person, maybe it's a group, but his ideas are very smart. Like one of them is Kramer starts an Uber service, but he borrows Jerry's car for it. So
Okay.
at some point, Jerry ends up getting in his own car and realizes Kramer's driving, and Kramer's like, "I have to charge you for this," and he's like, "It's my car, Kramer."
That's great.
Um, stuff like that. Um, it's
Very
great.
good. I like that. Were you did you catch, I can't remember how many years ago it was, when Twitch was doing the real-time AI generated Seinfeld?
No.
That was
Oh, you
so
mean when they were
strange.
writing episodes? Was that what it was?
It was like an AI that was writing and animating episodes in real time. So like it was like really bad low poly, like borderline Nintendo 64 graphics of them walking around in the apartment, and like it was really bad AI voices like, Jerry, today I can't believe you're like, it was really, really weird and surreal. Felt very strange. It was almost like, I don't know, it was like Max Headroomy. It was very strange. But but yeah, I don't know. I don't know
That's
what that was or where that came from. It was back when Twitch did more of that weird, random, funny stuff.
yeah, when they were like a little less corporatized.
Yeah, yeah. It was like 24 hours though. It just kept going. There's like best of compilations I think on YouTube of stuff that came out of it. But but yeah. It's like when they
But
did
is it
Twitch Plays Pokemon, that was another crazy one.
which one is that?
Twitch Plays Pokemon is it was a game of Pokemon being played, and the inputs that would be selected were based on how many people selected a certain input in a chat in a certain amount of time. So thousands of people would watch it and they would spam the button they wanted to press. So like sometimes they'd catch a really good Pokemon because chat was like choosing order, and sometimes they would throw away a really good Pokemon because chat was choosing chaos. And like just getting them to like to a gym and beating somebody was like a huge thing. And like all this weird stuff started coming out of it. Like people started forming like this weird like proto religion out of it. Like there were like events like Bloody Sunday where like chat convinced the computer to throw away like all of their good Pokemon. And then there were like praise Zapdos, and all these memes came out of it. But it was a huge community event when it happened forever ago. But yeah, I miss when Twitch would do weird shit. It was so much more fun.
Yeah, I mean, that seems to be the life cycle of every like new thing. It starts eccentric and like kind of like a fun thing for weirdos,
Hmm.
and then it slowly becomes like more mainstream and just kind of whatever.
Yeah.
Um, and usually it loses the charm.
Yeah.
Is
Yeah. It's
you know,
strange.
and it's like you can see it happen. Even YouTube, when dude, the early days of YouTube. Some of you kids who are Gen Z won't understand,
Yeah.
but the early days of YouTube were the Wild West. They were just insane.
Yeah. They were nuts.
Oh, here, you know what? I'm having some problems over here with OBS. Let me uh can you talk now, Dan?
Hello. 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 It's me. I'm
There
talking.
you are. Okay, you
Hello.
weren't coming
Hi.
through. OBS just collapsed. So basically, the first few minutes of our conversation, people aren't going to know. Dan was talking about his Swiss bank account, his
It's
gold
true.
doubloons.
I was. Come get me. Come get me, IRS/Interpol. Come get me.
Come get me,
Come get
IRS.
me.
Yeah, that's your going to be your T-shirt.
I was very happy to wake up today and find my lovely copy of Black Mirror waiting for me with the beautiful cover you did.
Oh, hey, yeah, I think I saw you posted of that, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I showed that off on stream earlier. I was like, hey, here it is.
Yeah, I remember joking with you about doing a Steve Coachman cover.
Yeah, it came out
And
great.
yeah, it was kind of like kind of a sketchy like I don't know. It's been fun working with microns. I haven't done that in such a long time.
For anyone listening back, let me see if these headphones will reach and I'll grab it. They won't. Hold on. Right here. Beautiful.
There's a little delay in the video, so
I'm
I'll
back.
watch diligently.
I really enjoy constructing people's characters out of the available GIFs on Instagram when I post stuff. It's very fun for me.
You are really good at it. You have a shocking talent for that.
For
Like
some reason, they have a blue skeleton. I don't know why. So I would always do Steve. I'd always do the blue skeleton with like a little crown emoji thing. But like, I don't know why there's a blue skeleton. But no, I love finding ways to make random characters out of what they have.
Yeah, you I don't know. It's something about like you as a concept art guy being able to like use the tools you're given.
It's very funny. I love it. It's great.
Because I don't have the patience for it. I thought about doing that, and then I was like, I don't know how to search for all this. I'm gonna just
I
here's a
posted it.
dancing skeleton.
Yeah, I posted it, and I was like, I could have done a sheriff star too. I was like, there's so many things you can do, but
Well, I appreciate it. I really appreciate the shout out. That was cool. I'm glad you like it too, because I was excited for you to get that. I had to like call the people doing fulfillment and be like, okay, this cover with this guy goes to this person.
I didn't even think of that. That must have been tricky. How many custom covers did you do?
Like 3 or 4, and the others,
Okay.
yeah, so it wasn't too bad. Like, and you were one of the only ones that had a where like I had something specific for you the whole time, whereas some other people I was just like, oh, this one would be good for this guy because I know he likes Spawn, so I did a Spawn cover,
Oh,
that kind of
sure.
thing. But generally, I think it's going to get worse as the book gets more popular, and better, but also worse in terms of like the amount of things I'm going to have to consider.
Yeah, I get that.
Um, but I think it'll be fine. I'll manage.
You said a word that has me thinking. What do you think is going on with Spawn during this like comics renaissance for like entertainment we're having right now?
That's a great question. I know that for years he's been accruing talent for the Spawn movie, like Todd McFarlane, and
Yeah.
he's been talking about it publicly, like we got this guy now. Can you believe, and the talent, the people involved, it's like pretty incredible. The amount, like he apparently, I don't know, I like Todd McFarlane, but I take him with a grain of salt because he's got that Harry Knowles thing where he gets like caught up in his excitement and
Yeah.
sometimes um, but he had apparently signed on the director from True Detective season 1. I think Cary Fukunaga was interested in doing a Spawn movie,
Whoa. Dang.
which is
I
like,
wonder
yeah.
like so it would be a movie, it wouldn't be a series.
Honestly, if they did a series, it would be hard to not have it be just like Daredevil on Netflix because it has a
True.
similar flow. Like Sam and Twitch are kind of the same as the detectives, but like people will still watch it. But I know that the movie he wanted to do is he said he wanted to do something that would be closer to like a David Fincher film.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
But because I think he didn't want to do camp. Um,
I get that. That'd
but
be
it's
cool. I
like,
mean, that's a niche they
yeah,
haven't really done with the whole comics entertainment renaissance is horror. That'd be cool if you could actually corner that.
yeah, yeah. I mean, there is a strong horror component to Spawn for sure.
Yeah.
But I don't know his design. If you want to be faithful to the look of the character, it's like there's a little bit of camp that's just kind of you can you got to be a little farcical. You can't be super. If it takes itself too seriously, you run the risk of
There's
cringing your audience.
only so many chains you can put on a character before it, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
There's only so many before it crosses the line into a
Yeah,
slightly campy. I don't know.
yeah,
It's so weird that original Spawn movie. I think it's just the CG was so bad at the time. I think that's what
yeah.
essentially killed it because the performances really aren't bad. John Leguizamo is having a fucking time in that movie as clown.
I think John Leguizamo as clown is one of the like unsung villains.
Yeah,
Like when
he's great.
people really sleep on him in that role, and you can tell yeah, like you said, he's having a great time. He gets the tone, he gets the character. If that movie wasn't an otherwise kind of a shit show in some ways,
Yeah,
as far as the special effect, I think Michael J. White is a perfectly fine Spawn.
yeah.
I'm not a fan of the makeup. I like his costume. I think the costume is really cool. I think the makeup on him, the burnt makeup, it's a little bit. I don't know. He kind of just looks like a
Like a
sausage.
looks like a Power Rangers villain.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
I'm Ivan Ooze. It's like Ivan Ooze level of like this is very clearly makeup.
yeah. Well,
But
it's funny when you say Ivan Ooze, I can't help but imagine Oscar Isaac Apocalypse because
oh yeah, the best. They're so dumb. I don't know why they did such a thing.
yeah, they see like I'm not usually like, oh, this should have been CGI, but like that probably would have been better as like a CGI character. um or at least like heavy like puppetry.
Yeah.
But not to jump around too much, but what do you think of but to answer your question, I don't know. The Spawn film has been in and out of production for like 20 years at this point. But
I wonder if you're gonna ask me the same thing I was about to ask you.
wait, what was I going to ask
You're
you?
saying
What was
what do you think of the
why do I do this? I didn't even let myself hit the topic because it was something I was actually. Oh my God, it was on the tip of my tongue, and then I interrupted myself. God, that is you guys just witnessed ADHD in
I'm
action.
wondering if you were gonna ask me because I was gonna ask you, are you watching Daredevil Born Again?
I'm waiting for the season to finish to find out if it's gonna pull the rug out and be shitty.
I respect that. I respect it.
I'm waiting for people like you to tell me if it's good or not. After you get like 5 episodes in.
Right now, I mean, I'm 4 episodes in, and it's mostly good. They're having a little bit of a tricky time nailing the balance of this is now in the MCU, so there's going to be some silly stuff like it's very like I'm struggling with my faith, and this person died, and it was brutal, and what am I gonna do? And everything's very serious, and like, and then he
Mhm.
goes into the courtroom, and he's like, the White Tiger can't use his powers without his mystical amulet, and you're like, okay, like it's having a hard time finding the balance of like super serious gritty crime with there's mystical amulets, and like Doctor Strange lives down the street and on like Bleecker, and it's like oh, like that's the only thing. Everything else is great. The performances are great. The writing seems to be very good. The direction they're taking the plot seems to be very good. Whoever designed the costume for Muse, who's a character I'm not super familiar with, did a great job. I'm very excited to see where they go with Muse as a villain. They actually call Bullseye Bullseye instead of Poindexter, which is great.
Oh, that is
Um,
great.
the episode that has the Punisher is fantastic. The exchange that they have and the acting in that scene is quite good. They're doing like full PTSD Frank Castle this time. He's like a little unhinged, like more so than usual, which I appreciate. Um, but yeah, I like the direction so far. They haven't quite played their hand into what the actual season is going to be about. Like full disclosure, we're 4 episodes in and he hasn't put his costume on yet, other than the beginning of the first episode.
They love doing that.
it's like a flash forward. He's like, I'm not Daredevil anymore. They're doing like the Spider-Man 2 of like, I'm hanging up the costume. And like we're 4 episodes in and he hasn't put it back on yet. But yeah, they seem to be big fans of making serious shows where the characters aren't the characters.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons I just kind of like stopped trying with anything that they make because it's like like even you have Oscar Isaac for Moon Knight,
Yeah.
which is like incredible casting. Like
Yep.
he's such a and apparently I didn't watch that much of it, but I heard if you actually put together all the scenes where he's actually Moon Knight, it's literally like 20 minutes out of like 5 1-hour episodes.
Very, very little. Yeah.
Which is just as a as a comic book guy, it's just like why why can't you just let me have this?
Also, it's like one of their best adaptations of a costume. That Moon Knight costume was fantastic. And
It's
like,
so beautiful, yeah.
yeah, it's unfortunate.
And I think a lot of people just like don't trust them now because they're like, oh, you're just gonna do it again. You're gonna bait and switch me. You're gonna make me think it's about him, and then you're gonna go on some other tangent with I think there's this thing where it's like, and I'm not trying to dogpile on Disney because I feel like that's easy to do now.
Mm.
But I do think, and it's not just Disney that does this. Some people seem to have this thing where they think that the marker of sophistication is inherently like making things more complex,
Yeah.
like having more characters, having more plot lines happening. Like that's the mark of a very sophisticated. And it's like I don't think that's true. I think that some of my favorite stuff, it's like pretty simple and direct, and like the plot for the movie Unforgiven. It's
Mm.
extremely simple,
Yes.
and it's one of my favorite movies of
It's
all
an all
time.
timer. Yeah. I think if I'm being completely honest, based on 4 episodes, I think what happened is they started making a season of Born Again, and I know that there was reshoots and there were rewrites because the two actors for Daredevil and Kingpin were going to leave, and they were like, "This we don't really have faith in the direction this is going." So they redid it, they retooled it, they reshot a bunch of it, rewrote a bunch of it, and I think honestly, what probably happened is if Daredevil's wearing his costume, it probably means that there's an action scene happening because having him just wear the costume and talk to people is kind of strange. So I think action scenes cost a lot of money, and with all the reshoots and rewrites that went into it, I think they had to penny pinch, and I think it's just cheaper to have Matt Murdock doing cases and stuff because you're just filming people on very cheap sets doing scripts. It's not like crazy action scenes. So I'm assuming the back half is going to have a lot of repurposed action stuff. But right now, it's mostly just A camera, B camera talking.
Wow. Did you ever think in your life you'd be hearing a conversation about Disney pinching pennies?
It's just crazy to me that I don't know. Fortunately, the writing's been good enough that it's still interesting. The really leaning into like the legal procedural aspect, and the writing for Kingpin is actually, I didn't watch that Echo show, but
Yeah, I heard they butchered him on that.
yeah, I didn't watch it, but I guess he's dealing with stuff that happened from that where like he's having like for the first time ever he's like doubting himself, and it's an interesting way to go. Like his marriage is failing, and it's like he's overcompensating for that by like running for mayor and shit. Like there's interesting stuff happening, and the writing's pretty good, but there is not much daredeviling yet.
Yeah,
And
but I suspect that maybe the second half of the season they're gonna go ape shit, with
I
having
mean,
him do.
the first scene of the first episode goes pretty fucking nuts. Where like, obviously the first season of Daredevil had that famous hallway fight where they did
Yeah,
the tracking camera from what is it, Old Boy? I can't remember. But it's
yeah, kind of like Old Boy, sure.
and they tried to one up that in this by doing a full apartment fight where it's an uncut camera that starts at the first floor, goes to the fifth floor,
Sure.
and that was pretty cool. Um, but yeah, there is a new season. It's on Disney Plus. Spit Boy. It's a continuation of the Netflix show. It's basically a season 4 of Daredevil, but they called it Born Again. But it picks up where the other one left off.
Is that Spitboy in the chat? Spitboy, how are you, man?
That is him, the one, the
How are you,
only.
man? I haven't seen him since we had dinner at your place.
Oh yeah, it
That's the
feels like
last time
yesterday.
I've heard from him. I kept looking for him in the chat for like months after, being like, "Hey, I wanted to, because I wanted to follow up because I was, we were talking about a project he was working on. I didn't get to hear the end of it, or at least the bulk of the. He had all this stuff he was planning.
You guys got to reconnect.
Not, yeah, you gotta DM me, Spitboy. I'll invite you to my Discord or something like that. I don't know, or I'll find you on Dan's.
Yeah.
But he's a nice guy. It was cool to meet him in person.
Very nice, man.
But I'm sorry, yes. So you were saying, so you would recommend it at this point?
Yeah, it's good. It's not I wouldn't say it's as good as the highest highs of the original Netflix series, but it's also nowhere near as bad as the lowest lows. So if the back
Sure.
half if the back half can stick the landing, it'll be very, very good.
Yeah, and maybe even though the ratings are really low now, which is
Mm.
not their fault, I suspect that if it's good and people finish the season, they say, "Hey, this is great," maybe it'll get a lot of viewership after the fact. One hopes.
Possibly, yeah. I think a lot of it is going to be determined by where is this going, because right now it's setting up a lot, but it's not really. It's sort of like in Watchmen when like you kind of see Rorschach here and there, but you don't really know where the plot is going, and he's just kind of doing stuff. Like
Mm.
the back half of Watchmen is where like all the oh shit stuff happens, and you're like, this is all the setups have payoffs, and all the patterns have payoffs, and if they can do that, because we don't know what the fuck. Are you familiar with the character Muse?
No, actually, this is a Marvel character. Yes.
Yeah, he kind of looks like Rorschach. He's like a serial killer with like a white mask with like black blotches on the eyes. He's a street artist like Banksy, but he's a serial killer.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
And they've peppered him in a few places. You see his artwork on the walls everywhere, and you see him dragging bodies around, but we don't really know
Cool.
what he's doing or why he's doing it or how it connects to Daredevil. Um, but they keep dropping him in here and there, so we don't really know where that's going. And if that works out and pays off, then it'll be very cool. But who knows?
I mean, he's kind of like I mean, he's a detective character, so like putting him up against a serial killer, they're kind of overdue for that because
Yeah,
I understand that, it's like you can see why organized crime is such a popular villain um for superheroes because it gives them a lot of fodder to
yeah,
like people to beat up, and like a serial killer involves it's much more story driven. Um where it's like you can only have him fight the same guy so many times.
yeah,
But yeah, putting a serial killer type villain in the midst of a story like that, with that character as his opposition, that's like it's a good use of a detective style hero. You got to put him up
yeah.
against stuff.
And like you brought up Michael J. White earlier, but like they're also doing the thing with Kingpin where like he's running for mayor, and it's very Black Dynamite, where it's like Kingpin goes to all the mob bosses that he used to be in charge of, and he's like, "I'm the mayor now. We can't have crime. No more selling drugs to the neighborhood." And they're like, "But Kingpin, I love selling drugs to the neighborhood." And it's like, it's this weird thing of like he has to like be a criminal but also be the mayor, and it's very push and pull.
I mean, that's
But
an interesting arc for him as a villain.
yeah,
Um, Thing is, I don't even have Disney Plus, so that's why I'm waiting to hear if it's because then I'll join for like a month and maybe watch it or something if
yeah, I
download
would
it.
just wait. I would just wait. But but yeah, that's all I have to say about that particular subject. Hopefully, it sticks the landing, and the back half is particularly good.
Was he a character that you liked before you saw the show, or did you like discover him through the Netflix series?
Muse
No, no,
or
Daredevil.
Daredevil. I was never really super into Daredevil because I never really understood his like power set. And then when I watched the Netflix show, I was like, oh, okay. The only comic I remember ever reading where I really liked Daredevil was there was a comic during Civil War where I can't remember who someone is taken captive, and Captain America wants to like, I can't remember. Someone wants to arrest him or do something, and Daredevil's like, well, you can't. He has civil rights, like due process, and he's like, don't do this, and he's like, I have to, like I'm a lawyer, and there's like a whole thing, and I'm like, that's an interesting angle, but
Yeah.
that's the only time that I remember all the like street level characters. Like I kind of liked Spider Man when I was a kid, but all the other street level ones like Power Man and stuff, I was like, this isn't like epic enough. I need like people fighting Doctor Doom in outer space and X-Men shit.
Yeah,
But yeah,
yeah,
growing up, I like more of those more subdued street level characters because the writing is more like interpersonal. It's not like here's a galactic threat that swallows planets that this guy with nunchucks is going to fight. It's more like we have to make compelling villains that have character arcs and stuff. Like,
yeah, yeah,
which weirdly, when Netflix had control of those MCU properties, I thought for the most part, all of their villains were much stronger than a lot of the movie villains. Like Cottonmouth was really well done. Purple Man was probably the strongest they had. Like the writing on Purple Man and Jessica Jones was fantastic. That first season of Daredevil was really, really good.
yeah. I
Yeah,
thought Kingpin was such an incredible villain.
yeah, he's great.
The way that they build him up before he actually appears is like masterful. It's so good.
Yeah, it's fantastic. But
Um,
yeah, it was very strange because I was like, oh, okay, they're like really, really sinking their teeth into some of these villains and having really, really making them good actual characters on the TV side of things. But
yeah.
I couldn't even tell you who the villain is in Captain Marvel 3. Or Captain Marvel 2. I don't even know. She had a hammer, and I don't know.
Yeah. Oh, well, a lot of that I think comes down to the costume design.
Yeah,
The costume design has been so bad. It's so forgettable. It's so generic. They're so scared of like having things look even a little bit cheesy that they end up everything just looks like a party city. It's just crazy.
yeah, it's very weird. A lot of the villains, like I'm struggling to really. I'm trying to think of who's like an iconic one that what's the name of the villain in Doctor Strange? He's just an orange Doctor Strange who's Mads Mikkelsen. I,
Oh yeah.
it's like,
Yeah.
what are we doing? Like,
And what a terrible use of Mads Mikkelsen. You could have saved him
I
for Doctor Doom.
know. In the concept art book for Captain America, the original one, he was one of the actors that Westbert painted as the Red Skull. They were considering Mads Mikkelsen, and I think that would have been a much better choice.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I would have taken him as Doctor Doom or the Red Skull for sure. I
I
actually
would have loved him as Doctor Doom.
yeah. And it's like I get that Robert Downey Jr., everybody loves him and he's probably going to do great as Doctor Doom.
Yeah,
And maybe he'll save their whole franchise because people love him so much.
right.
But I was just like um it's like I don't know, like you can recast him, but you can't recast Mads Mikkelsen, even though you already used him in a
I
like
know.
in a wildly forgettable role.
It's weird
you know?
because, like, is Robert Downey Jr. going to do an Eastern European accent, or is he going to be wisecrack in Los Angeles Robert Downey Jr. with a mask?
Oh man, it's funny because I don't know if I want either. Like I don't know that
Yeah, I kind
yeah.
of don't want either one. I don't know. It's a strange move, but we'll see.
I mean, the Russo brothers, I think they're in charge now, right? Are they coming back? Is that what it
Yeah,
is?
they're coming back.
So they got to have something up their sleeve. I'm hoping. Um,
Supposedly, Secret Wars was the thing they wanted to do originally before they were did all the things they did. So hopefully, they have a good idea for it. But
have you
obvi-
ever read Secret Wars?
I'm familiar with it. I never read it, but I'm familiar with the plot of it.
Yeah, parts of it are really exciting. So I would love to. I mean, if they adapt it faithfully, they're going to have some pretty spectacular like set pieces. Like
I
the
mean,
action's going to.
clearly, the, clearly Robert Downey Jr. is not going to be the actual Doctor Doom. It's going to be some variant bullshit, right? Like they're going to have to bring somebody else in.
I think what they're going to end up doing, and I'm not saying this is a good idea, but I think this is going to be their idea, is that RDJ is going to be like he's an alternate variant Tony Stark who becomes Doctor Doom, like
Okay.
because that's what I suspect, but I don't.
If he goes the other way in Iron Man 1 and doesn't become good guy, he just becomes even more bad guy.
Yeah, I think that's. I bet you that's what they're leaning at. Um,
Do you think he's gonna
but
be like a dude from Latveria or whatever the country's called, and he's gonna be a king with magic powers, or do you think he's just gonna be Robert Downey Jr. from America?
I don't know because can you imagine him doing some accent? I don't know. Have you seen? I mean, I know RDJ can do a good English accent, good enough anyway.
I don't think he
Um,
could do an Eastern European one. I really
I
don't.
don't. No, I don't think so either.
I
He's
don't
too much.
know.
Too much of his whole style and presentation is about naturalism, which means
Yeah,
being very comfortable and like having him do it. He's not a He's not some classically trained Michael Fassbender who's gonna like disappear into a different culture. It's just not, you know.
It's a bummer because like one of the cool things about Doctor Doom as a kid was
Hmm.
like he's magic and technology,
Yeah, it is really
and
cool.
he's like one of the only characters that does both of those and like combines them in weird, creepy ways. And it's like
Mhm.
I really hope they like 'cause we've set up magic and like Wanda was a thing and like we have that now and like I hope they don't just completely ignore that.
Yeah, I agree.
But yeah.
I don't know. I mean, yeah. So someone was this is I cause the thing I was gonna bring up 10 minutes ago or so. I just don't remember anymore. I don't know. I cut myself off and now I'm gone. I'm gone from it. But maybe I'll circle back to it.
It's okay,
But
buddy.
in the meantime, I wanted to ask you. There's been I saw an interesting conversation happening about the you know how the widespread complaint that Joss Whedon had a terrible effect on writing and
Mm-hmm.
culture because everybody's trying to do the Joss Whedon thing, the quirky, you know.
Yeah.
And someone made a good point where they were like, you know, despite Joss Whedon, like, you know, he's not a good person, obviously.
Mm.
But putting that aside, addressing him as a writer, like they're like, you might be blaming him for too much because he did something that worked generally, and that what seems to have happened in the meantime is that a bunch of other people that didn't quite have his talent for dialogue tried
Mm.
to imitate him, and they came up with this terrible, you know, because an example that I think they used was like, you know, The Matrix is a great, you know, kind of landmark in entertainment, and then it spawned a bunch of crap for like a decade where everybody's dressed in black leather and doing like bad
Yes.
kung fu. And like you can't blame The Matrix for that. You have to blame the really untalented people who tried to imitate it. So
Yes.
they were like, you know, we should maybe give, as a writer, that like we should give Joss Whedon the same slack. Like, you know, never mind him. I think it's just it's great to pick on him now because like he's a piece of shit person.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so it's like, oh, and also his writing was never good. It's like, well, no, I mean, like, because someone was using Firefly as an example, which is like, have you ever watched?
Yeah.
It's like it's a show that I really love, and I think his writing in that is pretty great. It's that's just, you know, my take on it is that it has some really sharp character development, and even though, you know, it gets into the quippy Joss Whedon thing, he never quite pushes it over into like winking at the camera. Um,
I think a lot of it is my take on this has always been I think there was that weird period in the late 90s going all the way up to when Iron Man 1 came out, probably if we're
mhm,
being real all the way up to when the Avengers came out, where comics were not quite mainstream yet. They were still kind of seen as nerdy things. And even if audiences were there to go watch the movies, the studio execs and the producers thought that it was still like the territory of nerds and there was a weird stigma on it. So I
mhm,
think Joss Whedon was essentially given a task by the studios of like, I'll use Buffy as a case study. Like,
sure.
take this thing that people are going to laugh at and call lame and that is for nerds and make it palatable to the masses. Find a way to make it popular with jocks, find a way to make it popular with moms that are looking for something to watch. And, you know, people that aren't nerds that aren't going to accept, you know, the premise because it's inherently campy and ridiculous and silly. The easiest way to get that accessible is to add sex and to add comedy because everybody's horny and everybody likes to laugh. And then you end up with this formula of like, you know, enter camera right, girl wearing shirt that's way too tight with like, you know, skinny jeans, does a flip, shows a little too much, adjusts her shirt, make a sexual innuendo joke about it from the guy that wants to sleep with her but can't. You know, immediately after a vampire fight with some expositional lore dumped that is, you know, as the meter goes, think of it like video game meters, like your poison meter going up, and before it gets all the way to top, giving you the toxic effect, you have to take a remedy to reduce it. It's like as the nerdy stuff builds up, he has to add jokes and sex to reduce the tension of the nerdiness. Like it's this weird throttling of like, okay, this is leaning a little too lame. People might be getting insecure about watching this nerdy shit. Let's throw a quick shot of a butt in there. Let's have a girl, you know, it's like let's add some humor so people can laugh. And okay, I'm not a nerd for watching this. It's funny. I'm watching a comedy show. And
Mm.
I think that was basically the task he was given, and I think he executed it well. And I think then everybody just ran with that.
That's interesting. I don't know. I mean, so I think I would agree on some parts. I think that's why other people do it.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was his MO when he did it.
I don't
I
know.
was
I think James Gunn does it too.
well, yeah. You see, with James Gunn though, I think even though he sometimes bugs me, he does it in a way where it does feel like he's hiding the strikes a little bit,
Yeah.
where you don't notice that you're being manipulated
Hmm.
to also, James Gunn, I don't find his stuff to be that nerd. I mean, it's like it's very frank in its appreciation of nerdy stuff, but as far as his plots and his like his, his setup, he doesn't go full on nerd. Like he's not super into the like,
Yeah.
it's like Joss Whedon will probably get more into the lore of something, whereas James Gunn enjoys a surface level plot just to like deliver some fun.
With James Gunn, it's almost this weird thing where like it feels like with some of the Joss Whedon stuff, he's given the directive of make sure to pepper some stuff in so it doesn't feel too nerdy. And with
Hmm.
the James Gunn stuff, it almost feels like he's doing that for sincerity, where like you can't have the emotional scene without a joke being right there, because it's almost like this weird fear of like feeling anything genuine or being emotionally attached to a moment. Like Guardians 2, I love Guardians 2. I love all three of the Guardians movies, but every time something meaningful happens in that movie, with one exception, the only exception is Yondu's death. Every other meaningful moment in that movie is immediately undercut with a joke. And it's
Yeah.
very strange. And I don't really understand why.
I think it's also this fear of making the audience uncomfortable in any way,
Yeah.
which is odd because I feel like that's a part of the experience of a movie is to like have scenes that bother you because that's what motivates you. You know what I mean? That's what motivates the character is like something terrible.
Give me
So
your
I don't know.
yeah, give me your Joss Whedon take, because I think you're probably more familiar with this work than me, and I'd like to hear it.
My general take about which part? You mean more
Uh,
specific?
why he writes the way he writes, and like where it's coming from, and like I don't blame him for that trend happening either. The trend is clearly directed top down, but
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Um, yeah, like because I feel like I've been with him a while as a fan, and then once I found out he was like a monster, it's
yeah.
like oh crap. But yeah, so my general take on him is that he, from what I've watched interviews, I've read articles about his stuff, and basically like um, it seems like according to him, early in his career when he created Buffy as a
Mm,
character he had a very specific goal, which was it was like his cultural answer to the slasher film.
okay.
So he's like, the 80s and 90s especially, you have a slew of movies about, and actually not even just the 90s. I mean, you look at the 70s, I feel like it's more like the horror films that are just like hot girl wandering down alley, like you're lusting after her, and then the movie will have her die horribly to like turn that lust into a kind of vindictive, killing,
Yeah, yeah.
like almost like this picarism thing.
Hmm.
Um, and his cultural answer was like, I wanted to do. I think his exact quote was like, I wanted to make a movie where the girl's going down the alley and the killer's coming, and it turns out she's the one who's really dangerous,
Yeah,
which is a really cool, like that was a pretty novice idea. That was like a novel idea was to like, create a teenage girl character who's like not a victim in any way. And actually she's like secretly a superhero who fights monsters. Like, but to not, he said he wanted to keep it in the youth language. So like, looking and sounding like a character from something in the 90s, like
hmm,
she, the kind of, the idea that like that she would almost come across initially and kind of like there's a little bit of that bimbo culture,
yep.
like Clueless, but then she's got hidden depths, she's actually quite smart, she's that kind of thing. um so I know that that was his like his general approach with Buffy, and then I think once it started working he kind of applied it to like almost everything. um
Okay.
but I know that his aspirational thing was always to take aspects of like kind of postmodern entertainment culture and then mix it with like classical fantasy and hero stuff and comics and
Mm.
um he said he had a feminist bend with his stuff, but after hearing about what he was like in private it's like okay, that's not
Yeah, it's
really
not
he
really.
likes to
Yeah.
appear that way, but
Yes, it's a good cloak to wear.
yeah.
It's weird because like So the Joss Whedon directed movies for Marvel were what? What did he direct before the Avengers? Anything?
No, they actually offered him one of the single properties, and he refused. He said, "I'm not going to be a part of the machine. I want the Avengers. Give me the big one."
Okay, so he did Avengers and he did Avengers 2 and that was it, right?
Yeah,
Cuz I
yeah, I
think
think so.
I'd say in terms of quippiness and humor, I think Avengers 1 is fairly flawlessly balanced.
Yes, it is a very entertaining movie. It
It
never
does
fails.
not teeter over that edge. It has maybe like one joke I can think of that didn't need to be there, but it's not like offensive.
Yeah, I think a really good thing he did in that movie was he has entire scenes that are just comedic scenes, and
Yeah, they're
then once
great.
that scene is over, he moves towards the scene and allows it to be dramatic.
And the
He has,
comedy is like
you know,
informed by the characters. It's not just jokes for the sake of jokes. Like
yes,
some of the James Gunn stuff is like there's a serious moment, it's emotional, then someone gets hit with a rock, and it's like it's not really like a joke. It's just like it's like a Looney Tunesy kind of like thing. But
yeah,
then the James, I mean the you know what's his? We just said his name. Who directed
Joss
the
Whedon.
Joss Whedon? The stuff in the Avengers is really good because it's like the Captain America. Like I understood that referencing
Yeah,
the flying monkeys. It's like that's because that's something one of the only things people say in that movie that he would get from being from the 40s.
yeah,
It's like
yeah.
there's a lot of good stuff like that. Things that Thor doesn't understand because of his elevated language. Like yeah,
Yeah, yeah, I know.
that
I love when Thor's like, "We come here fighting like Bill Schneip," and they're like, "What's that?" He's like, those giant scaly ant." He's like, "What? You don't
yeah.
have those here?" And they're like, "No." He's like, "Oh,
Or
like
like
that. That
the
actually would happen."
yeah, yeah, or like the he's adopted line is great.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of really good stuff in that, and I don't think it crosses the line into silly. um
Mhm.
Age of Ultron was there's just too much in the movie. It was never
Yeah.
with that much going on. It was I my unpopular take is that I actually kind of like Age of Ultron. It's not, I don't think it's as offensive as most people do. I think
Yeah, I agree. I enjoyed it too.
the big flaw was making James Spader try to. I understand why they did it. Making him try to act like Tony Stark, like it's Ultron is like programmed to sort of be like his dad. I get what they're doing, but it takes away from the cold, unfeeling robot that he needs to be.
Yeah.
And he's a little too funny and a little too silly and a little too human to be like spooky. And like I get why they did it, but I think it was the wrong call. And then there's just too many characters. That's the only other thing.
Yeah, I think if I think it's almost like it felt to me like that part felt like subversion for the sake of subversion. Like,
Yeah,
oh, you're expecting a cold feeling robot. I'm gonna make him really casual and kind of likable. And
yeah,
I mean, I get that he wanted to make him charismatic to show why those two young people would follow him, like in a
yeah,
cult kind of way. But I actually think you could have gotten there by going a more traditional evil robot route where he's like, he does have an emotional basis for things, so he's very human in some ways. But like, I actually think a really good way to balance that character would have been to base it on Adam from season 5 of Buffy.
yeah, yeah. I could
You
see
know
that.
that that whole persona is like really interesting to me. Sorry, go on.
When I first watched it, I was like, why didn't they just make Paul Bettany Vision and Ultron? I was and just put like make his voice a little spookier because like it would have been fine. Like I don't know.
Yeah.
Like James Spader's charisma is a little too dialed up for like cold, unfeeling robot. He's like quipping and making jokes, and he's essentially Robert Downey Jr.,
Yeah, yeah,
which is the point. It's the point. It's why they did it. Is like it's the whole weird thing of he hates his dad, but he is his dad, but he's not. It's I get it, but it doesn't really work for that character.
yeah. Why it's also like he's like Tony Stark's creation, so he's like
Yeah.
got aspects of his personality, um, but it always felt like it was one of those things where at that point, Joss Whedon, I felt like he was starting to get really repetitive with his story beats.
Yeah.
Um, like because I felt like when he did that with that character, I was like, I've seen you do this before. I've seen
Mm-hmm.
you do this a lot. You do this with Buffy a lot. Like a
Mm-hmm.
lot of the villains, they would go down this road of like, isn't it cool that it's a monster, but it sounds like somebody you'd be talking to, like at the grocery store? Isn't that interesting? Um,
Yeah, not for that character. That character Ultron needs to be like the T-1000. It needs to like
yes.
it needs to be an unfeeling AI that is here to wipe out everything, and it needs to be like scary. It shouldn't be relatable.
Yeah, and I actually think they could have gone if he wanted to make him charismatic, they could have gone an interesting route and made it like a almost like a false messianic figure.
Yeah, I think that was cool when he's like talking about like I've been thinking a lot about meteors and evolution and God and what is all that stuff's great. I think if he leaned into that, it would have been good. I think if also if they leaned into the I liked the subplot of like he's trying to become the one thing he can't be, which is human, and he's constantly upgrading his body, and Vision is supposed to be his like final form, and it's it's like basically him trying. It's like Pinocchio, the whole Pinocchio theme they do very unsubtly. Of I want to be a real boy, and they like throw the song in and everything.
Yeah.
I think that was all good. I think the problem is that he felt like a real boy from the first time we saw him because the very
Yeah.
first scene he's in, he's like, I'm a puppet and I'm all these strings and I've been asleep and I've been talking to that other guy. He was a good guy. He's like talking like a normal human from the start. Like
Yeah.
the Pinocchio stuff would have landed way harder if he was just robot, evil robot man.
Yeah, and it would have been really cool and eerie if they had made him strangely almost innocent in that first scene where he almost
Yeah.
comes across like childlike, and then you watch him get creepier and creepier, and instead it's like
Also, like, imagine if throughout the movie he went from being more robotic and cold to being more human. So at the end, it's a genuine thing of like, is this thing a consciousness? Is it ethical to kill this thing? Like, what's going on? Like,
yeah.
it would have been very creepy. But I totally agree. If he was more like a kid at the start, it would have been great. But yeah, I don't know.
I suspect the reason they didn't go down that route of making him more robotic was because they were going to introduce Vision later. And if you do that, you can't really do that twice in the movie or it gets very
True.
tiresome. Because Vision, I will say, the movie's not perfect, but their introduction of I thought Vision was so perfectly
Oh
handled.
yeah,
I
he's
thought
fantastic.
perfectly played. I think he's written beautifully. Like
Yep.
I love the way he's written. They made him so awesome. I love the idea that he's the final form that Ultron was going to take, but then they kind of take that and they make him a good guy. So then it's like him,
Yep.
like when he looks at Vision, and it's like the idea that he gets the name Vision because Ultron describes him as a vision of like what he would turn into, like
Mm-hmm.
and it's like that I thought was cool. And then
It's
you get
great.
like he's like the last upgrade of this AI, and it's like a superhero. I thought that was brilliant. It was like I think that's moments like that are Joss Whedon when he's like operating at top warp speed. It's just
Yeah.
like beautiful. Yeah,
He's very good at writing the Avengers fighting amongst each other too. They do that in both movies, and those are usually the best parts of the movies.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, I mean that was obviously the best part of the Civil War movie too. But yeah, I
Hmm.
don't know. Joss Whedon is. I mean, is he done? Is he working on anything, or is he blacklisted?
I think he might just be done,
Yeah.
and it has not helped that Michelle Trachtenberg died
Mm.
because um, she never spoke that much about him, but she did say a story that apparently he had done something, quote unquote, something that afterwards he was not allowed to be alone with her, like anywhere on set.
Oh boy.
So, so I'm assuming he was like coming on to her when she was like 16 or something.
Oh boy.
Yeah, but or I could be. I don't want to talk out of school. It could also be that maybe he was really mean to her, and he just. I mean, like neither's great, but one of them
Yeah.
is a crime, and one of them is just being gross and like entitled. But
Sure.
there was just other stories from even men on the set who were like, yeah, he was just a fucking asshole. Like he was just um and I've heard some really weak defenses of his behavior from some of the shittiest people on the internet being like, yeah, but that's just when you're a director, that's just what it's like. You got to be a dick sometimes. Like, no, you don't.
No, you really
You
don't.
don't.
Plenty of directors are not.
Yeah, yeah. You ever hear of Steven Spielberg?
Yeah.
You ever hear of that guy? He's
And
actually
also, there's
pretty.
there's ways to be a dick and not be hateable. Like Quentin Tarantino can be a dick, but like the
Yeah.
actors are never like, I'll never work with him again.
No.
Never.
Yeah. Yeah. I
But
agree.
anyway, that's been our Joss Whedon segment.
Come back next week. We'll discuss Neil Gaiman.
Oh my god. I still want to know like what is that controversy? Is it like it's so I was trying to look into the details of it and it's so insane.
Yeah. It's
But
not unlike looking into the details of his case is not unlike falling into that web from Coraline with the big spider lady.
Yes.
Just keeps going and going. You're like,
Some
oh
of
my
this
god.
stuff I've never even heard before. Like it's like I've seen abusers and I've seen like manipulative, horrible people. I've never read stuff like this. Like what the fuck is this?
Yeah. Yeah. I don't understand. I don't understand why so many people get to that place where they get like talented. I mean, where they're talented and then they get powerful and they're just like, I'm gonna just try to become gross.
Yeah.
Because I bet you he got worse over time. But that doesn't happen in a vacuum. I think something happens when you're really powerful and you have a lot that it's like you actually start to get worse because you just don't get confronted very often. So
Yeah.
your behavior worsens over time. Um, which is tragic because then I think to myself, maybe he wasn't even always like that. Maybe it's just like all the praise, the accolades, the worship goes to your head and you just become worse and worse. But
Yeah,
I don't know.
it's like that weird phenomenon where lying can rewrite the neural pathways in your brain if you do it long enough, and like you start to not even understand what the lie is anymore because it's your brain is no longer functioning the way it should be.
I've never heard that, but that's
It's
pretty
a,
scary to
it's
think
the
about.
thing. If you lie constantly forever, eventually your brain will actually start to default to the lying, and it's
Whoa.
very very weird. But yeah, I feel like that might be a thing with certain kinds of fame too, where if you're treated a certain way for long enough, I think it starts to genuinely affect your perception of reality.
Whoa. Well,
But
in that case, I have to start telling people things that I lied about when I was a kid.
true, your
Dan.
uncle your uncle didn't work at Nintendo.
No, my dad is not a race car driver.
Oh my God, how could you?
I'm sorry. We built our whole friendship on that.
How could you? You know how I feel about NASCAR.
I know. This guy can't go 10 minutes without talking about
I let
NASCAR.
you into my home.
I let you into my home.
Do you think they're gonna cancel Sandman, or are they gonna go forward with it?
I did see but they got one season, right? One season in.
Yeah, after the Neil Gaiman stuff, do you think they're gonna go forward with it or kill it?
That's a great question. I don't really know because in other situations, I mean, like, some people were really, really angry about J.K. Rowling, and HBO is still, but that's
Yeah,
okay. But I will say that's different because she has an ideological perspective that some people really don't like, whereas Neil Gaiman's like an actual, like, J.K. Rowling never like beat up anybody or like tried to sodomize them with butter. So like,
true,
so
very
those are two different,
true.
so I shouldn't. They're not comparable. I don't know. I feel it's possible. I mean, they're moving forward with a supposed Buffy sequel now,
Okay,
uh, um, where they're getting back as many people from the cast as they can.
okay.
But they announced that right before Michelle Trachtenberg died.
Oh, it's unfortunate.
So, because it's like I don't know how you can make a movie without Buffy's little sister. She was such a fixture of those last
Yeah,
seasons. Um, and Malka was really bummed about it too, not just because this lovely woman died for seemingly no good reason, but like also because Malka grew up watching Harriet the Spy. That was like her favorite movie as a kid,
yeah. Harriet the Spy was good.
and that's like Michelle Trachtenberg's first movie.
Man,
Yeah.
how did she pass?
I get the impression it was something involving drugs because I think they mentioned
Oh,
heart attack, or whenever they say heart attack and it's somebody like under 40, you're like, yeah,
yeah,
or she was in her early 40s rather.
yeah,
But
right. That's a
uh,
shame. That's a real
yeah, it
shame.
is a shame. Yeah, and she didn't really act after Buffy, probably because she had terrible experiences, I would imagine, on that show.
Mm.
She
I
did some
did.
things.
While we're on nerd topics,
Do it
I
right
do.
because you and I never talk about stuff like that. Go on.
True. I do have to go in a few minutes, unfortunately.
Okay, no, that's all right,
We'll
man.
do this again before the week's over, though.
Okay, yeah,
Um,
anytime, man.
some new stuff from the Russos did drop about that movie, and I am very interested. Oh my God, they did cancel Sandman after season 2. There's no more episodes.
Wow.
I didn't know that. Anyway, the Russos. Thank you, Almathea. The Russos let slip that Doomsday is a whereas like Endgame and Infinity War were the end of a saga. They
Hmm.
said that this Avengers movie is going to be used as the beginning of a new saga. So I think that means they're going to kill a ton of people. That's the vibe I get is we're just going to wipe the slate. We're going to take a lot of players off the board is the vibe I get.
But they already took so many off before this phase started.
It's kind of crazy, yeah. I don't know what they could possibly mean by a new beginning, though.
Oh, I don't know. I think maybe, I mean, it could also be interpreted as like, oh, we're going to give this this new cast of characters like an actual direction to go in, because right now it's like they're really just
Yeah.
floating.
I
By the
think,
way, I have to point this out, Dan.
hmm.
I know you meant to say Doctor Doom, but you said Doomsday. You crossed the streams with DC and Marvel.
Oh, no. The
And
movie's called Doomsday.
oh, is it? I thought you were
Yeah.
referencing Doomsday.
No.
Oh man, I
The
thought I had
movie,
you.
it's Avengers Doomsday, and then Secret Wars comes after it.
I thought I had you, man. You were
No,
like,
man.
I
Never.
was like Tom Hanks in Catch Me If You Can. Like I have you in the plane, then you get out the bathroom.
What a
And you,
great movie. What a fantastic movie that is. If anyone hasn't seen Catch Me If You Can, what an insane true story. What a great
one of the
film.
best movies ever made. One of the absolute best.
Oh, you're into The Flash? What do you mean? Barry Allen. And he's looking at all the checks. Oh, it's so good.
It's great.
So good.
I love it. I love the accents. I love the movie has such a wonderful brisk pace to it.
Hmm.
It just it never. I love the John Williams score. That great little
Yep.
that like it's brilliant.
Oh, one of my favorite Leo performances. One of my favorite. It's just a great movie. I can't believe that's a true story.
Yeah, and then he ended up working for the FBI, right,
It's
for like a
so
decades
good.
after.
It's so good. Anyone hasn't seen it, check out Catch Me If You Can.
Do
Very
yourself a
good.
favor and watch Catch Me If You Can.
Yeah.
It's like
Anyway.
Spielberg is so good and so prolific that sometimes it almost like hurts himself because people will be like, "Oh, whatever." It's like, no, it's great. And if it was made
Mhm.
by a different director, it almost feels like people would be talking about it more because everybody just expects Spielberg to always be knocking shit out of the park, especially like late 90s Spielberg, you know?
Mhm. I will let you
But
pick. I'll let you pick the final topic before I farewell.
oh man, I'm not prepared for this. Okay. Okay. That's what I wanted to bring up with you. It finally, oh,
You
how
got
perfect to
it.
circle back.
Oh, well,
Yes.
don't lose it.
Okay. Did you know that the works of Robert E. Howard are about to hit the public domain in the next few years?
I had not considered that, but I suppose that would be the case.
And I think it's within 5 years. I think maybe 3 years.
Hmm.
And there's been talk about like, oh, anybody can do anything. And I was like, man, wouldn't it be cool to do an edition of like Solomon Kane collections with illustrations, like an anthology of his stories, and like doing like a Kickstarter maybe with a bunch of illustrators that I like or that I work with to just do different, illustrations and like put up his stories, in like a nice hardcover.
Yeah.
And then I was like, I bet Dan would absolutely love to work on something like that.
Oh, 100%. 100,000,000%.
And I was just like, is that exciting to you to think about, or just in general, Solomon Kane like going public domain? There's good and bad elements of that, but like, I mean, come on,
I
it's gonna
mean,
be awesome.
it's exciting to me because maybe somebody who's wanted to make something with it finally can. I
Mhm.
don't know if it would mean a movie necessarily or a show, but like
Yeah,
the fact that you could potentially write your own Solomon Kane stories or comics and sell them is pretty awesome. The fan art you
yeah,
could do, the stuff in the universe you could do. I mean, my ultimate would be if somebody really good finally made something like a movie out of it that was like true to form, that
yeah,
wasn't trying to be like action schlock, and it was actually like it felt like those stories. That would be so exciting.
yeah. Where they have that beautiful macabre poetry um, and there's definitely like
Yes.
action schlock superhero elements to it, but it's also like I don't know. I think he was a brilliant writer. His work is so sophisticated in its own way.
So good.
Um, so okay, I would love to know. I know you need to go in a minute. You let me know when you need to go. I'm
Yeah,
not,
yeah,
I don't want to.
yeah.
If you had to pick like your director and lead actor for a Solomon Kane movie.
Oh God. I mean, I feel like it has to be the guy from The Witch, right?
Oh God, what an I can't believe that didn't occur to me. Yeah.
It has to be him, right? With the voice.
Oh, I thought you meant the director. I thought you meant Robert Eggers.
I
But
mean, both.
yeah.
I feel like him and the guy who played the dad in The Witch and Robert Eggers would be so good for an adaptation of that.
No, I think that's yeah.
And he's the
Yeah,
right
that
age
works.
because Solomon Kane's supposed to be a little older and grizzled, and he's supposed to be
Yeah.
kind of wiry and not like he's not muscular like Conan. He's muscular like he's like a pit fighter. Like he's borderline too skinny, but he's all muscle and sinew and
The exact quote from the book from the one of the stories Robert E. Howard says that's about Solomon Kane. I'm going to quote this, guys. This is a very rare occasion where I can actually quote something exactly. It says his hatred of evil had worn all that was unnecessary off of his body so that he maintained not but the lean economy of a wolf.
the lean economy. Ugh.
Isn't that
Ugh.
badass?
It's so good. It's just the best.
It's
But if we
so
got
good.
like, I don't know, my dream team would be probably Eggers, probably him as Solomon Kane, maybe guest art director Guillermo del Toro, but that's a pie in the sky.
Oh,
Robert
yeah.
Eggers is a perfectly capable art director in his own right. His visuals are stunning. So,
It's true.
but yeah, I don't know. That would probably be my dream. The only concern, I love Eggers as a director visually, and I love the way he paces movies. Do you think he would be able to capture the flowery language and the verbosity and the grandiosity of some of those scenes?
I think he would not have a problem with that. Where I think he would stumble is with the sort of binary morality of Solomon Kane,
True.
because I think Edgar's like, again, I think he's really great. But I do think that he really likes to, he's a modern day, he's an artist. He's not coming at it from Robert E. Howard's perspective, which was that of like a pretty, like the idea that Solomon Kane is a staunch Christian and that's like the motivation for a lot of his stuff. I don't know that Robert Eggers would represent that as it is in the book. I think he would probably try to make it a little freakier.
Sure.
And, he might subvert that aspect of the character, which is like, whether or not a person's religious is not important to me. Like the art, what's important is that the character is.
Mhm.
And it's like I really think Peter Jackson's approach to Lord of the Rings was great, where he's like, yeah, I don't really need to put in my own feelings about it. I want to put in Tolkien's feelings, and it's like,
Yeah.
so I feel like if Robert E. Eggers were to do it, I think he would probably have a very different approach to Solomon Kane's religiosity. He probably would make it a little more of a, I don't know the exact wording, but I don't know. I think that that's where he would stumble. It's like the character wouldn't be the same.
Morally gray.
Yeah, morally
Yeah.
great. Or I mean, but the thing is, it's already there to make him interesting and flawed because he's really fanatical as a character.
Yeah.
So you can make him like a guy who's like, yeah, he's a hero, yeah, but also like he's a little bit nuts. You can do that. I don't know. I think Edgar's. I actually thought Cary Fukunaga would be great. The guy from True Detective season 1.
Oh, he'd be
Um,
very good.
I actually thought Peter Jackson, if he were to take the approach he did with when he back in the heydays when he was making Fellowship of the Ring and all that with he and his wife, if they did Solomon Kane, they might do a great job.
Yeah.
Because he's great with monsters and action, and if he has a good script to work with or good source material, he could probably knock it out.
Now, would you want an adaptation of the stories that exist, or would you want something new?
That's a good question. I mean, I don't know. Okay. That's a great question. I think every time someone wants to do a 2-hour movie adaptation, it's very hard to avoid certain tropes. Like the Solomon Kane movie from the early 2000s. I did not like that the movie tries to give him an origin that's not in the books because it's very generic. And I'm wondering if that's hard to avoid, and if you're making it like a 2-hour, film with like a certain there's certain expectations.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I would actually love to see. I would love to see an adaptation of the actual source material itself.
I would too. I wouldn't. The only way I could see it working if they didn't do the source material would be if they did like a later years Solomon Kane, almost like Unforgiven, where like it's about him coming to terms with all the stuff that he's done, and like the one demon he hasn't fought is like doubt.
Mm.
kind of thing. Like the world has changed; it's not super religious anymore, and maybe he's almost seen as a villain by some people for all the stuff he's done. I don't know, but then
Oh yeah.
you're skewing into territory where it might betray the author's intent. So I would probably not go that direction. I feel like
Yeah.
that's the direction they probably would try to go, but I would
Yeah.
I would like a source material. I would like just like an HBO prestige show, 10 episodes, couple
Yeah.
seasons, each season a different monster. Basically, what The Witcher should have been.
Yeah, yeah, but The Witcher was supposed to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree completely. I think that would be really fun. Um, I always thought Daniel Day-Lewis would make a great Solomon Kane.
Oh, can you imagine? Oh my God, I would. Oh, it'd be so good.
Yeah, that would it would be so good it would ruin my life.
He's
Like
got
it'd
the
be so,
perfect face.
yeah, you would yeah, you just like it's him as John Proctor with just some elements added and some vulnerability removed, you
Hmm.
know. Um yeah, I think and the physicality of it he would just nail it and
Oh man, he'd be so good.
you can have elements of Bill the Butcher in there too, like a certain roughness and like a slight sociopathic quality.
Yeah.
But
Oh
I wanted to
man.
recommend a channel to you.
Yeah.
Sorry, did I cut you off? Go ahead, say what you're
No,
gonna say.
I'm just. That's such a good. I'm gonna change my answer. It should be Daniel Day Lewis, 100%.
Yeah, I also wanted him as the Shadow. That's what I always said. I wanted him as
True.
Lamont Cranston, but I'll take him as Solomon Kane because that's like my favorite character ever. But what was I gonna say? I did it again.
Recommend a channel.
Yes, there's a channel, and this is recommended to everybody listening. This channel called the Cybrarian, like librarian, but cyber in the beginning because
Okay.
I don't know why. But he's a voice actor who does audio books of and puts them up for free, and he does a ton of Robert E. Howard stories.
Nice.
And his Solomon Kane, it's like the best audio book. I love it. I listen to it when I'm working out. I listen to it when I'm driving. He does like a bunch of the Solomon Kane and the Conan stories. His Solomon Kane he's like the voice actor himself is an Irishman, and
Hmm.
he has this beautiful he has a voice kind of like yours with like this really rich timbre that I'm always a little jealous of because
Why?
I sound like,
Thank you.
well, because it's like anyone who knows I'm a very tall guy, but I have the voice of like a 14-year-old boy, so it bothers me
Not
so.
true at all. Not true at
No, it's
all.
okay. I'm not even insecure about it. It's just one of those things where like I wish I had a voice like yours because I would do so much voice acting of my own comics and stuff for motion comics. Um, but yeah, he has like your kind of voice, but with this like really rich Irish accent. So when he does Solomon Kane, it's perfect because he does it kind of like Northern English,
That's
like from the
great.
countryside. So he's got so he does the final Solomon Kane story is Solomon Kane comes home, and then
Mm.
the whole thing is told in verse. It's like a poem,
I'm gonna
a
listen to
rhyme.
that on my drive right after I hang up.
Oh, I'll send it to you now. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
great,
send
and
it
it's
to me.
just and he's just like Solomon Kane sitting at a tavern, being like, "I've seen vampires dance naked in the moon," and he's
My
got this
gosh,
great,
so good. It's
it's so
so
good, man.
good.
Um, but listen, I don't want to keep you. I know you got to go. But if you want, we can do this again anytime this week or
Yeah,
whenever you want,
I'll
man.
be back tomorrow and Friday. Good talking to you, chat. Thanks for hanging out. Got some good progress done on this piece, and yeah, it was lovely.
Absolutely. All right, I love you, man. I'll talk to you later.
Love you too, buddy. I'll see you. All right. Goodbye, folks.